Hello and welcome to On Second Street. As we start to close out the end of 2024, we thought we would do an episode where we talk about the best and worst of government policies and actions over this past year. Got two guests who follow government activities very closely. Matthew Lau is a columnist with the Financial Post, and Renaud Brossard is the Vice President of Communications with the Montreal Economic Institute. Thank you both for taking a few minutes today to help us do a recap, and we'll examine some of the best, worst of this past year. Renaud, I'll start with you, and we'll start at the federal level and work our way down. We'll start off with the good news. When you think about what Ottawa has been involved in over this past year, is there anything that you think, wow, they did a good job in this particular area?
Well, thanks for having me, Colin. I have to admit, for the federal level, it has been hard with this government to find anything good. But I think one of the things we need to celebrate is the fact that Trans Mountain has finally come online. Now, let's be clear, it was not on time, it was not on budget, and of course, this federal government did a lot to make it very hard for the private sector to complete a project. But now that it is finally completed, it is helping create more jobs in Western Canada, and also making sure that we actually get
Mhm,
the full value of our products, of our petroleum products, by getting them to
mhm.
Tidewater and opening up new export markets. So this is a good news.
Okay, good. What about for you, Matthew? What do you see as positive at the federal level over the past year?
Well, for positives, I think you can't really find many. I would agree with Renaud there, but certainly you can say at the very least things could have been somewhat worse. For example, tax policy I think was quite horrific this year at the federal level, but
Hmm.
they did not follow through on that special taxation of grocery stores, which they had threatened previously. So you can say things could have been worse, but I don't think you can really point to anything good.
Okay. What about on the flip side of that then? What would you say would be sort of some of the policies that happen at the federal level that uh, really you think they missed the mark on? Renault, we'll come back to you for this.
Look, I mean, I'll keep to the topic of tax policy. I think the capital gains tax hike might be the single most damaging policy from this federal government in the past year. Let's be clear, there's been a number of other bad policies, but this one, look, right now, our GDP per capita is back down to 2014 levels, lower levels than since this government has been in office, essentially. Poorer
Can
than
you
we
give
were
us,
when
Renault?
Trudeau. Oh, sorry.
Sorry, you cut out. Continue, please.
Oh, yeah. So essentially, our Canadians are poorer now than when Justin Trudeau came in office. That's what our GDP per capita figures show. And to introduce a new tax on investment, because that's exactly what the capital gains tax hike is a misguided policy. The reason why we're in this productivity emergency, as the Bank of Canada's deputy governor put it, is because we don't have enough investment. And you know what happens when you
Hmm.
tax investment more? You get even less of it.
Hmm. Right. Well, of course, Matthew, I'll come to you. Same question. When you think about everything Ottawa was involved in over the past year, what would you say was their worst decision?
Going to tax policy again, I think this recent announcement about the so-called GST holiday that they've just announced for 2 months is a really, really messy one. I've seen some economists call it, for example, the worst tax policy of the past decade, let alone the past year. I think it's going to
Mhm.
be a really horrific administrative and logistical nightmare for a lot of small businesses to implement. We've already seen data from the Canadian Federation of Independent Business, where a lot of small business owners say they have to go product by product, everything that they sell, and try to determine, according to these really arbitrary rules, what the tax rate on everything is now. And if you look at
Mhm.
tax policy in general, this is not a tax cut or a tax break that in any way increases productivity, which Renaud just spoke about. This is really just something that's going to cost the federal government money, and it's going to have to recover that money through other taxes because this is all borrowed at the end of the day. So the so-called tax holiday and the $250 checks to every Canadian, I think those are really damaging policies.
it's an interesting idea, isn't it? The government goes out and borrows money and then gives it to us, and we have to pay for the borrowed money, and we're supposed to celebrate. Anyway, we'll be back with more in just a moment.